I walked out of my job about an hour and a half ago. I was serving at a restaurant in West Hollywood, and this had been building up for quite some time. I have spent the better part of a year and a half here in Los Angeles working in the service industry, and that's not what I came here to do. Um, as I've gotten older, I've gotten scared to take risks. I've gotten scared to lose money. I've gotten scared and I've gotten comfortable. And those weren't traits that I possessed when I was in my 20s, when I first moved to the West Coast, when I lived in Portland, Oregon. And as I've gotten older, my longing for comfort, my desire to be comfortable, my desire to have money, not that I have any money because I don't, my desire to have a paycheck coming in, all the things that I wasn't okay with having when I was in my 20s, like I feel that I need in my 30s. And when I reflect back on those times, I reflect back on my 20s, and I think the majority of the best times that I've ever had in my life were when I didn't have money and I wasn't secure and I didn't know what was going to happen the next day. I didn't know what was going to happen the next week, the next month. But I wasn't thinking about any of that because you don't have money, you don't have a job, you kind of just have you. That's all I had. That's all I had. I was a janitor in my mid 20s at the post office, living in Portland. I was a custodian, and I was really embarrassed of that. I am in the Hollywood Hills now, and I think I made $400 a week as a janitor at the post office. $400 a week. This is in 2015, 2016. And I did just fine on that money. It was a big deal for me when I could go out for beers on the weekend, or I could go out for a burger, or maybe take a trip to the Oregon coast, or buy better weed, or whatever it is that I would spend my money on. But my point being is, like, I didn't care about money. I didn't think about being rich. I didn't think about having a lot of money. I didn't think about nice cars. I didn't think about any of that because I just had accepted at that age that more than likely I would never have any of that. I grew up lower middle class. My mom was a waitress for the majority of my life. My father was an auto mechanic. And I watched him struggle for finances pretty much my entire life. They weren't really good with money, and they didn't have a lot of money. And when you have two kids and a mortgage and all of other life's duties on your plate, that money doesn't go far. And so I grew up in a household where there was never money around, and I grew up seeing what that can do to a marriage, what that can do to people struggling for money in the adult world. And I'm gonna be 35 next year in July. And I don't know where the time has gone. It just seems to have evaporated. One day I was in my hometown, gallivanting around with my friends, 20 years old. Next day I'm walking through the Hollywood Hills here in Los Angeles, going to turn 35 years old with no direction, no career, no house, nothing. I'm in the same situation that I was in essentially when I left high school. Granted, I've been all over the world. I've had a lot of life experiences. But as of today, and as of now, I have two cats, I have my girlfriend, I have my car, and I have no job, and I have very little money, and I have my studio apartment here in Los Angeles. That's all I have to my name. And for the first time in a really long time, I'm experiencing waves of peace. I'm also experiencing waves of, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I have no idea what I'm going to do. Like I said, I'm here in the Hollywood Hills. You can see the lights behind me. Way up here, it's a beautiful view. Up here at night, it's weird to walk up here at night. Guess it can be a little creepy, but yeah, look. That's pretty wild, huh? Pretty wild. Incredible. So with that being said, tomorrow I'm turning a new leaf. No job, no idea what I'm going to do. But I'm gonna dedicate myself to being myself. I'm gonna take my life back. I'm gonna take my time back. I'm gonna start eating clean again. I'm gonna start being in the gym 7 days a week. I'm gonna start going out and gigging. I'm going to start putting out content every day because I haven't been doing any of that. And that's what I moved to Los Angeles to do, to have a better life and to pursue what I love. And I miss the holidays this year. I miss the holidays this year. I've been home for the holidays one time in 10 years, and I miss the holidays to work at a restaurant. What a joke. You know, every time I see my parents now, because like I said, I'm 35, they're visibly older. I see them once a year, and it's usually only for a couple of days. The years are flying by at record speed. Everything is flying by, and I'm scared. I'm scared because I know that I've spent so much time without them now, and that one day, maybe soon, maybe not soon, but one day they won't be around. And I feel very fortunate to still have both of my parents because, you know, at the age of 35, it's not uncommon to not have one, if not both, of my parents, and I still have both of them. And so I'm going to capitalize on this opportunity to see them as often as possible. I have been dealing with a lot of things mentally for a long time now. I was bullied really bad growing up. In fact, I don't really remember a time when I was a kid up until, I guess, my mid-20s when I when I left my hometown, that I wasn't bullied. I was always bullied from the time I was a tiny kid to even early adulthood. Never had the courage to stand up for myself. Never, ever. I never stood up for myself, not one time. I was always too scared. I had no confidence. And I wasn't raised around confidence. I wasn't raised to stand up for myself. I was bullied by my parents growing up. And they're different people now. And I'm not saying that to judge them or anything like that, but my parents were not, they were not confidence builders for me growing up. They did not instill that in me. And so I didn't have that. And only confident people stand up for themselves. People who get bullied are not confident people. Confident people don't let that happen. And when you stand up to a bully, they don't bully you anymore. And so I never did that. And people knew that. And so I just got bullied. When I left my hometown, I went through a terrible breakup. I was 24. And I was actually working at the post office in Tennessee when this happened. And I went through a terrible breakup. Living in a small town, and you know, for most of y'all, if you're watching this, if anybody watches this, growing up in a small town, everybody knows everybody. Everybody knows everybody. Everybody slept with everybody. Everybody's been with your girlfriend and somebody else's girlfriend, and it's slim pickings. So I went through a terrible breakup, and I realized my life was going nowhere. I was 23. This was right before I turned 24. I sold everything that I had. I got in my car with my friend, drove to Portland, Oregon. I had never been there. I didn't know anybody there. I had no place to stay. I didn't have anything. 2 duffel bags, 2 guitars, and a dream. And while my dream, quote unquote, was to take over the city as a musician, and that didn't happen, I grew an immense amount, bro. It's getting hot. I grew so much. I realized that growing up in a small town, I didn't know anything about anything. I was so sheltered. Didn't know anything about food, didn't know anything about culture, didn't know anything about people, didn't know anything about different religions, didn't know anything about anything but what I was told was right and wrong when I grew up. And so that was a massive, massive, massive culture shock for me that really, really changed me in so many ways. Because now I am my own person. I don't subscribe to what I was told growing up. I've learned to think for myself. I've learned to become my own person. I gained confidence from doing things that I never thought I would do. I gained confidence from going through things that I didn't think I would ever go through. And I gained confidence from growing through things that I didn't think I would overcome. And this is one of those things. So right now, as I'm in the Hollywood Hills, surrounded by homes that more than likely, it'd be a long shot to say that I could ever afford. Surrounded by cars here in the streets that more than likely I will not be driving. I wanted to make this video so that I can reflect back on this a year from now, talking about where I am, how I'm feeling, and where I'm going. So I quit my job, and now I'm 34, and it's only up from here. I mean, I don't know what tomorrow's going to bring. I'm very much in the same situation I was talking about earlier when I was in my 20s. I just didn't know, and I didn't care. I've always made it happen. I've always made it work. I'm gonna make it work now, and yeah, we're gonna see. So here in LA, I moved here to be a musician. I moved here to better my life, and we're all in on me now. We're all in on content. We're all in on music. We're all in on not working for other people because I just had no time for myself at all. For the longest time, none, because I've spent it all working for other people, slaving for money that I don't even have anymore. Been working for 21 years now, still broke, still don't have any money, so something's gotta change. This is not working and hasn't been working. And granted, I have not been financially responsible. I don't think anybody is. I think that has to be taught. So there's tons and tons and tons of people who are in way better financial state than I am, probably in a better financial state than I'll ever be in, but that doesn't mean that we can't improve. So I gotta learn how to make some money. I gotta learn how to keep my money, and I gotta learn how to bring more to the world because, just being an NPC or being a pulse or working for other people, at least from my skill set, and it's not working. So what do we do? I don't know. I don't know what to do. And that's okay. That's okay. Sometimes, most of the time, you're not going to know what to do. And if I did know what to do, it probably wouldn't be as exciting as if I didn't know what to do, which also gives me the nerves. So, like I said, I'm up here in the hills. Look at this view. Yeah. So when I see stuff like this, I'm just like, yeah, I don't know if I'll be able to ever afford anything up here, but I sure do like to look through here and walk through here and look. So tonight was Taco Tuesday, and my supervisor is all of 21 years old, and it's like he was telling me what to do, essentially, being the boss, quote unquote. He was only given this position because he's roommates with the owner, and so he can relay everything back. He's like his little errand boy, his little, chirping bird, ready to snitch for some brownie points. And if you've ever worked in the service industry, you've ever been a server, like that you just deal with all kinds of people, and you deal with hard workers, you deal with bums, you deal with everything in between working in the service industry. And I was just working with some sorry people tonight. And I just had enough. And I'm like, why am I in here slaving away night after night after night after night for this money for people who do not care about me and will drop me at an instant? And they would. And I got into an argument with this kid because he let one of the employees walk out without doing any side work and didn't check it, and essentially didn't do anything all night long, and nobody else did anything. And I just had it, and I snapped. And I basically told him outright that people weren't doing their job, and that he didn't hold anybody accountable, and there was some weird tension in the air. And I swept a few things up, went and printed my check out, walked over, and I put my check out on the table and said, yo, I quit. I'm done. I'm quitting this job. And he's like, for the night? And I'm like, no, like, I quit. I'm done. I'm not working here anymore. And he's like, so you're walking out? And I'm like, yeah, I'm walking out at 10 o'clock after all the work's been done and you have nothing to do as you eat your free fajitas. And yeah, so I just quit. And man, I went and hugged two of my coworkers that we worked together since July when the restaurant opened, and told them I wish them the best, and walked out the front door, went and told my girlfriend, and now I'm up here in the hills, walking through, telling the world, if the world sees this, which they probably won't, but whatever. Like I said, this is from my memory, so tomorrow's a new day. I want to be up early. I want to be in the gym. I want to be grinding. I want to be in the stock market. I want to be practicing music. I want to be putting out content. I need to go to the grocery store. I need to get groceries. And yeah, I'm going to reflect back on this video in a year and this walk in the hills, and maybe I'll do another walk in the hills to celebrate this 1 year vlog, and we'll see. So that's where we're starting, but it's definitely not where we're ending. So I'm out.